All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Ask Via that we're kind of doing some fun with because it's the first time it's appearing on a YouTube live. So I hope that some of you are going to ask some questions about Ilaiyaraaja and Mani Ratnam, which is what this episode is about. Uh, it's kind of strange that they have the same day as the birthday because I think a lot of today's generation, when they think of Ilaiyaraaja songs, they think of that's one big set of Mani Ratnam songs. That's pretty much that's what they go back to typically. And like for example, when I interviewed Sid Sriram, the first song that came to his mind was Ten Pandichi Mele. That there's a certain connection that goes on there for younger viewers. Yeah, but it's kind of, I think, inevitable because I think you're you know your the films that you've seen also kind of inform the music that you listen to quite a bit. So yeah, I'm waiting for questions, but nothing's happening as yet. Obvious question: which duo is the best, Raja Mani or ARR Mani? Raja Mani, of course. You're asking me. I'm the wrong person to ask. Because I'm the pre-ARR generation. So I'm going to always say Mani Ratnam and Ilaiyaraaja kind of a thing. Though I would actually argue that by the time, of course, Mani Ratnam has had fantastic songs from Ilaiyaraaja, but I would argue that Ilaiyaraaja's true genius period was more with Baradwaj, Balu Mahindra, and directors like that, which is like roughly 78 to around 85, like a phenomenally genius period that was there. Mahendran, that kind of a thing. Like when you listen to the songs of I don't know, like so many of those films, there's so much of creativity and there's so much of there's creativity is the wrong word to use because it makes it sound as if the other songs are not creative. But what I mean is it's like Raja was wearing like jeans and this psychedelic t-shirt and smoking some really cool stuff and really going out on a trip. But then something happened, and I think he became more spiritual or something like that, and his music also changed a little bit. So yeah, so I would always say Mani Raja, but also like the fact with the caveat that the songs that Mani Ratnam did not get the best from Ilaiyaraaja consistently because those were the directors that got amazing stuff from Ilaiyaraaja. So with Rahman also, yeah, I kind of have. I mean, I like a lot of songs. Uh, for example, I don't know why OK Kanmani is one of my favorite album of theirs, but I don't know. A lot of people don't seem to like those songs. I don't know why. But yeah, it's just taste, I guess. Ponniyin Selvan would have been the right film for both legends to reunite. Raja's grand symphonic background score would have been a match for Mani's visuals of his magnum opus. Your take? I don't know. I think once people split up professionally, I think sometimes it becomes difficult to, see, once you establish a rapport with somebody, I guess uh, it becomes easier to work with that person. So I don't know. There are plenty of, these are things one can only speculate, right? Because, for example, Rahman has also done grand symphonic stuff in Veerapandi Kotele and other songs. So but maybe Mani is also going the other way and saying, I don't want grand symphonic stuff here because I want to do the opposite, because he likes to do that a lot. He likes to kind of uh, take something and twist it on its head and do something different, which sometimes works and which sometimes doesn't work. For example, in Chekachemadavanam, one of the things that did not work for me at all was the fact that certain songs were used like almost like a background score, and they became almost too much. And but the thing is, yeah, you respect it as an experiment, but sometimes that experiment works and sometimes it doesn't work. So I think it's a one can only say after the album is released what kind of score they've gone for, which is kind of it's something that that you can only speculate. But my gut feel is that this is going to be uh, something really special from Rahman, because Rahman always, he's got this thing that when he's pushed into a zone that's kind of different and new, there's something that happens, and I think this is that zone, and I kind of am looking forward to this album. So yeah, so I think it'll be nice if we have some questions that don't have to do with Raja and Rahman, and rather about Raja and money. I believe Mani Ratnam has a very special way of treating item songs, if we can call it that. Raja's got a huge list of essential item songs, but when they combine, they have a unique list. Um, yeah, I really for example, there is a see, one thing about Mani Ratnam's item songs is that he has some pure item songs, but then like Maya Maya is an obvious item song, which is like, for me, an item song is basically something that if you take that song out of the picture, you're not going to lose anything. But if you look at, for example, Talapati, that this one, that's a hero introduction song, right? Rakama Kayatatu. There's a whole, that is all. I mean, that is actually the only example I've seen in Indian cinema, probably, of the hero introduction song combining with the heroine introduction song. I mean, it starts off looking like an item number, right? Because it's like there's all these dances about and this and that and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually not even the hero intro song, because the hero has been introduced before that. So you would think that this is just an item number. So Rajinikanth is just celebrating, and Sonu Alia is there dancing. She's the item girl, so to speak. But actually, what happens is midway, or rather maybe 60-70% of the way, Shobana makes an appearance, and the heavy beats of Rakama Kayatatu go in her direction. So when the next time, after she finishes her passage of the song, when you hear Rakama Kayatatu, it's much slower. So that itself shows that he has kind of, entered her world a bit. So he's kind of going to fall in love with her. And I think doing this purely through song is something that Mani Ratnam used to do a lot in the early days. I think very well. Yeah, but I think pure item songs. I'm just trying to think of the Raja Mani Ratnam list of pure item songs. That is like pure, like just like they do nothing but like literally be there as an item song. Nothing comes to the top of my head. I don't know what happened. Yeah, probably the song in Paniviru Miravu in Mauna Ragam, because again, you could have shown that song could be taken out of that movie at that point, and you could have shown some other way of like the couple spending time together, but that happens there. So that's a bit of an item song there. So it's something that always amazes me as to how uh, that Ilaiyaraaja Mani Ratnam combination at one point would pretty much, it's almost like they're sensing each other's vibe or something like that, that they were just kind of a thing. I asked Mani Ratnam this question once as to uh, see, Ilaiyaraaja is this super busy guy. He's also the super prolific guy. So it's basically like you get your time, right? And he told me once that, I think this is while we were talking about the book or something, during the book. Like it's literally like everybody had a spot. Like this was R. Sundarajan's spot, and this was Mani Ratnam's spot outside Prasad studio, because and so then the summons would come for the person to go inside, and then they'd probably get half an hour to like listen, or 1 hour to listen to some six tunes or something like that. And then So I asked Mani Ratnam, he's playing his tunes on a harmonium, which may or may not sound, which are definitely going to sound very different when you are, like when they're, orchestrated and composed and all. But how are you mentally able to like decide that this is the right song for me? Because it's a basic na 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 tanana 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 thing going on a harmonium. How are you able to decide at that point that, and with that speed, whether something, he just said it's pure instinct. That's the way that's the way one worked with Raja. And later, like when with Rahman, what happened is, he said that, this was for Trida Trida or something like that. Each song was almost finished to completion, because when he got it, and he knew exactly what he was getting, with Rahman. So again, two different ways of working. But I've always found this fascinating with Ilaiyaraaja. Is like, you're basically giving a tune, and then you don't know. It's like, you don't know how it is, because see, the harmonium playing was there even in the MSV era or something like that. But that was also a slower era, right? In the sense that not many films were made, not many songs were created per year, and all that. And it was a slower paced, kind of atmosphere era. And yeah, I guess, that's what it is when you work with Ilaiyaraaja and kind of a thing. And yeah, it's kind of, something that's always amazed me about him, that somebody can actually, like I mean, amazed me about Ilaiyaraaja as well as the director, whichever director is listening to it, that they could say, okay, this song is going to work, okay, or say, no, then a Korkagala, can you give me some other song? I just don't know how they did that. Abhishek's asking, which is the better overall film in your opinion? BR, Nayakan, Talapati. Nayakan is the better film. For me, it's uh, I've said this before. It's the kind of, it's very rare that different people. Of course, Mani was still relatively new then, but you're talking about Ilaiyaraaja. I'm not very fond of the songs of Nayakan, but the background score is, of course, astonishing, and it's like justly legendary. Uh, but you're talking about, Ilaiyaraaja at one of his most legendary music scores, Tota Tarni creating some of his best work, PC Sriram doing astonishing things that had never been done in Tamil cinema before. Uh, Money, like directing, like you would never guess. I mean, like, looking at the earlier, the best film he'd done till then was Mauna Ragam, and that gives you no clue to the way he's going to direct, Nayakan, because it's like suddenly, like, it's a giant step, like, technically, from, like if you look at the cinematic language of Mauna Ragam, it's a fairly simple language. You look at the cinematic language of Nayakan, it's enormously sophisticated, and like, just like he just had that giant leap. And of course, Kamal, it's like, after like many, Kamal has this thing where he does like great films, not so great films, whatever, and sometimes he just phone in his performances. He just, I mean, he just kind of went everywhere else. He just, like, you know did this amazing thing. And it just, for me, that is one thing that works really well. I mean, I think the whole thing is beautiful. It's not that I don't like Talapati, but I would definitely say Nayakan for me is the better film. It's just like, it's just, everything just comes together so beautifully, in Talapati, in Nayakan. So that's my kind of a thing. Uh, in your book, Dispatches from the Wall Corner, you mentioned that Raja's music was a twinning melody line with a contrapuntal groove. Which Raja Mani's song comes to your mind with that line? Uh, Pumale Tolserva. I think if you ask me what is my, favorite Mani Raja song, it would be that, because it's just astonishing. That song, Raja and Janaki sing it, and it's just an astonishing song. It's like a, uh, I mean, the twinning melody line and contrapuntal groove is not really a. It's not only in Mani's music. It's there. It's a Raja signature. So it's not really something. But within this context, I would say that song is from Pagal Nilavu is just from start to finish an absolute classic. It was 1985, I think. Yeah. So that was like something amazing. Uh, you've also got to see that there are certain things that are consistent. Another song that I really like in is uh, in Anjali's Vegam Vegam. That's another great song where you have an almost staccato kind of Usha Uthup going almost staccato, whereas the instruments are going all over the place, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. The synth, the violins, they're just going crazy all over the place. So that's another like amazing thing, amazing song that I love. Arvind Ramachandran says, I have always wanted to ask you this. When did the love actually sparkle between Mohan and Revati in Mauna Ragam? I cannot notice the transition. Uh, it's a gradual thing, right? It's not a when. That's why that movie is so interesting, because there is no one point. She just gradually comes to know that he is such a nice guy, that he's kind of such a like 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 accommodating guy, that and also he is kind of, after she explains uh her Karthik past, he kind of accepts it, and he says, okay, now I understand why you want it, and he explains it, and then that's when it's her, she exercises the spirit of Karthik almost, because see, sometimes you hold on to the past so hard that you're kind of like you're almost unwilling to give the future a chance. Mohan gives that future a chance. He kind of, through his goodness, he kind of makes sure that not make sure, rather, that it's because it's not some calculated plan or something like that. He just says, okay, I first thought that you were just rebelling because of various things, but now that I know the truth, I realize that you do have a valid reason. Well, if this is what you want, then the divorce is what you get. Let's do that. And I think that slowly changes her mind, because I think one of the nicest thing about the Revati character in that movie is that she's not, she has a lot of ego. She says, right, in that thing, like, I'm not your typical girl, I have a lot of ego, I'm this, I'm stubborn, I'm this and that. That is seen throughout the movie. That one speech that you see earlier on when she first meets Mohan, that's there throughout the movie. And I think that's what really is special about it, that there's no one thing that he does that changes her, but it's more like a series of his nature, his very nature, which she refuses to see earlier, because she's so stuck on, I'm just not, it's like a child not getting a toy, right? Okay, they married me off, I'm just going to behave really badly here because I don't care what it is, I don't want anything. But then she matures and she understands Mohan's nature, and that slow transition is what happens. And of course, since we're talking about Raja also, that's another legendary score happening there, so all kinds of stuff there. So I think okay, Rahul Mohan, before I want to say something there, but I would like to compare both Raja Sir and J.S. Bach at the same level. Reason both works can't be improvised better, because the output is always the best, your view. I don't like using the word the best when it comes to art. I don't think there is any one best with because everybody has like different things that they do really well. Yeah, so, and I don't know why Bach specifically, because yes, there are certain Bach signatures, but then there are also lots of other signatures in his work. Uh, yeah, but yeah, I would say that I don't. This is a question that that I'm not going to be I'm not going to be able to answer satisfactorily, because this is not something that I believe in terms of you know art. That's what I wanted to say. Nitin says, I felt Iruvar is the best work from Mani sir. What is your favorite film of Mani Ratnam BR? I feel Iruvar is his best work, because I feel I have never seen a director change his style of filmmaking so suddenly. I would say that it's like the transition from Maunaragam to Nayagan in terms of sophistication of film language, like is almost like the transition between, I think Iruvar came right after Bombay, if I'm not mistaken, or Tiruda Tiruda, that phase, right? So he makes three fairly, those kinds of movies, and then suddenly in Iruvar, you notice like a brand new person, like the screenplay is in the form of vignettes. He's not telling like a locked in story of, let's say, 60 scenes or something. He's telling a vignette field story of some like maybe 120 scenes or something like that. So you're kind of getting snapshots. It's like wading through an album and getting an idea of maybe two people without like full-fledged scenes. And I'm like, again, that's something that's really that's amazing to watch. Then it's amazing to watch now. And again, that's another thing, because Santosh was in top form. The whole thing was is one of it's just beautiful. And I hope that the people, I think there's a restored version floating around somewhere, but I still think that it's not as good as what the original was. But yeah, but I hope that whoever is doing these restorations takes an interest in films like these, because the cinematography especially needs to be preserved. uh, I think I've said this before, but anyway, let me answer Satyanarayana Murthy's. You've already said that you are more interested in the Maniratnam who made Dil Se than the Maniratnam made a Roja Bombay. Why is it so? Because this is a much more sophisticated filmmaker. That's a simple reason. Post Iruvar, Maniratnam cinematic language. By cinematic language, I mean what probably an academic would call mise en scène, but let's not use these fancy words, but let's just say staging or whatever it is, right? It just went off to another level. And when you look at Dilse, compared to Dilse, Roja and Bombay are fairly simplistic films, which is not a problem. I mean, they're telling a story or whatever it is, but Dilse is just is so like, for example, that scene where where Shahrukh, where they put jewels on Manisha Koirala, and Shahrukh is standing in that very same frame, and she's seen in a mirror, and it's almost like it's like their wedding photo, because this is the only time that they will be together, like a traditional groom and bride. She's in jewels and all that kind of stuff, and he's dressed like that. So this kind of stuff happens over and over in Dilse, and I can't see much of it happening in Bombay, because there the story takes prominence, whereas here, along with the story, there is so much of and also that part where where the bus breaks down in Ladakh and they take a walk, and just for those 10 minutes or something like that, Manisha decides to abandon the the revolutionary inside her and become just a woman. Okay, that is one of the, I think, my all-time favorite Maniratnam sequences. Along with I mean, I have this bunch of Maniratnam sequences that I can watch anytime. That, along with that block, that Madhavan Simran block in Kandathil Muttamittal, that's again an amazing stretch that works very well. So yeah, I think it's just this. And I think when people say that they prefer the Manirattam who made Nayagan, Maunaragam, and all that kind of stuff, I'm not saying those are bad movies exactly, but it's exciting when a director just keeps, see, the ultimate goal for a director, any director, is to kind of speak that language, right? Cinematic language. That's why it's just like the ultimate goal for an author is to be able to raise his writing game to a level where like 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 it's really special. And I think that's what happens with movies post Iruvar. Though I'm not a fan of all of those films, but my funda is that I don't like Cuddle because it's a great all-round film. I like that film because there are about 15 sequences that are absolutely outstanding in terms of cinematic language. Not because it's a very flawed film. I agree with that. But those 15 sequences are so amazing that you kind of like you just like that it almost makes it worth it to kind of thing for. I mean, in fact, I wish there was some. If I were the kind of person who used editing software and all that, I would make a version of Cuddle myself by cutting off all the songs and just having like a song free film, which itself would make the movie a little an easier watch, a much more organic watch. But yeah, those are the things that one looks for. And again, this as a reviewer, you keep getting this question again and again, right? It's like, uh, are you looking at it from the point of the audience who again, I'm not judging the audience, because like cinema is there's a grammar to it, there's a language. So you sometimes you have to know that, right, to kind of know what a person is doing. Now if an audience is just like happy with dialogue and they're happy with that, then who are you to say that this is not a great movie? But then, this is my criterion and these are my criteria, and that's what I use. So when I see when I enter Mani Ratnam's world, or when I enter Mishkin's world, it's thrilling for me because they do some stuff there that nobody else does. And that's very exciting for me, that somebody does the way they use the camera or the way they do things. Because again, with a lot of Mishkin's films, you can say there are so many flaws, if you take the overall film. But those 10 or 15 scenes, those scenes or sequences, those are the things that really say that this is kind of what the thing is. So I think that's what the thing is. It's not because of anything else. But coming back to this Maniratnam Ilaiyaraaja combination, there are a lot of people who kind of have this almost like a competition about which one is the best. And I think one of the most interesting anecdotes that I know of him was that they were making the music of Nayagan and Agni Natchatram at the same time. And Nayagan was a period film, so that particular point they were using only natural instruments. And with Agni Natchatram, it was like this modern film, so you have you're not using any natural instruments at all. I mean, even the flute or whatever it is, it's being produced on the synthesizer. So that Mani was saying that was such a like a crazy kind of like almost like schizophrenic, because one day you'll be doing this and one day you'll be doing that, and it's almost like being in a sci-fi movie in two different time zones. So I think that's a great anecdote that you have thing. But it's really a uh, wow. Your say about Rajas's music and score in Nidan in Pon Vasantam. I like some songs. Satru Munbu, that scene and that sequence is one of my all-time favorite in Gautam's things. But why are we bringing in Gautam Menon here? He's a fan of Mani's, I know, and like many of us, who grew up, who started watch movies in the 80s and stuff like that. But let's ask Mani and Raja kind of question. Did the ending of Mani Raja collaboration time perfectly with the passing of Raja's best years, or did we miss out on something? Uh, See, I think generally speaking, every music director in Indian cinema, they have about a 10 to 15 years where they're really making the peak kind of years, and then it's not that they don't make good songs after that, but the frequency of the good songs reduce, and the this one reduces, the like something, the spark probably goes out. And when you're making, see, one thing you have to remember with Raja is that the volume of good songs that he produced in his peak is actually, if you look at it from the pace of a normal music director, it's the period that he's actually composed for would be much more. So I wouldn't say that the end of the Money Raja collaboration, because I don't think that the collaboration ended with Talapati. And Raja has made stuff there, but I think even before that, I don't think uh, he was kind of becoming a little like, for example, in the Ramarajan songs, you would find that a lot of those songs, sorry, uh, they're pleasant songs, but they're not really path breaking. They're not like nothing's really like changing anything, any paradigm shift. Whereas when you listen to Poo Malandeda and Tick Tick Tick, for instance, Bharati Raja, that Ilaiyaraaja was something. That's what I'm saying, right? That guy was the cool jeans wearing, psychedelics, he just smoking some weird shit, and really, really a kind of a thing. Whereas by this time, this phase, like post, I would say 86, he'd entered this very symphonic phase where he began to use violins and that symphonic thing more and more and more than he used earlier. He used it earlier as well, but he used it more kind of there. And I think a kind of sameness began to creep in. Like I think that's why today, uh, that when you listen to some of it, it just seems like it's not the thing. One thing that I really miss in the latter day Ilaiyaraaja stage is that uh, he didn't get that many good lyricists to work with him, and the that also affected the quality of music, because I like to listen to music as part of the lyrics, as lyrics are indispensable from the music. So I don't really kind of I can't separate the two. And I really wish that he'd gotten hold of some good lyricists who made some nice that adds so much to the longevity of a song. Good lyrics and I really, really believe it, this that a song with good lyrics will stand the test of time much more than a song without good lyrics. So that's kind of that's something that I really believe in. uh, I was very relieved when you liked Carter Day. You and me are the only ones. How to explain people how good is the film? But why should you explain? Isn't it enough that you and I liked it? It's enough, right? It's like a thing. I'll tell you where the my problems with that film are. I wish it had been a smaller film, though Mani wanted to do a David Lean kind of thing, in the sense that I wish the scenes with Karti's father and all had been a little more like in there, so that you'd gotten a better idea of kind of a thing. And I wish of where his toxicity came from. And I wish that they hadn't spent so much time on the action sequences and all, because those were probably for commercial reasons. But I wish they hadn't. I mean, this is not a movie that exactly needs that kind of action, and I wish, I don't know. That's something that kind of made it uh, you know feel a little less than all the thing. But pretty much every scene with Karthi and Aditi were like just amazing. One of my favorite scenes is uh, when they go on this flight and he drops her back home, and he immediately senses that this is going to be trouble, that this is not a relationship that he wants to get into, and he says maybe we shouldn't see each other again. And I just love that one bit, that hint that the shit's really going to hit the fan. I really like that kind of a thing. But good lord, what Ravi Varman and Maniratnam do in that movie, that cinematic language is mind blowing. I mean, it's just amazing, something else. So Shantan Verma says, has Maniratnam surpassed his prime? Has he reached the Woody Allen phase where he's constantly trying without giving up? Is such a thing applicable to him? uh I don't know, but this is a the difference between Maniratnam and Woody Allen is that Woody Allen makes a particular kind of film and makes variations on that theme. So when they work, and when they don't, they become repetitive. Uh, with Maniratnam, he's always trying something different. So I would say that, see, how do you define prime, right? Because, see, are you talking about a successful director? Because there has been no other filmmaker in Indian cinema who has delivered the biggest blockbuster of his career some 30, almost 4 decades after he started. Pallavi Anupallavi was, say, 83, 93, 2003, 13, and like, yeah, some 35, 36 years after he started his career, he delivers a Chakacha Vanam, which personally is not, I mean, I'm not a great fan of the film, but actually, I'm not even a fan of the film, but it turns out to be his biggest blockbuster. So there, I mean, there is nobody else that like Guru Dutt died too early. So many other filmmakers that lost their mojo like pretty early. So something about him still makes people excited about his next film, or make like people still talk about his films. People still, what I mean is, he's relevant. Whether you like his films or not, they become important to discuss, as opposed to certain other directors who've even come much after him and have gone away. And I don't want to name names, but you know many of them. So they've all vanished because they had maybe one, two, three films in them, and then after you saw those films, they just pretty much vanished because they were not there. But that said, yeah, I think it's been a while since Money did a bona fide classic, like from start to finish. Even though he's had, like I said earlier, uh, many scenes that are, that are astonishingly done. But something that from start to finish makes you feel that wow, this is something else. I think maybe it's been a while. I think that OK Kanmani was in that zone, but then it was also a much lighter film. So I think he got that tone quite. It was a tone was constant from start to finish, and it was an easy watch, and it became a hit again. So if you ask me, has he passed his prime in terms of filmmaking as a director? I would say absolutely not, because as a pure director, he just keeps getting better and better and better. Uh, uh, but as a, but I don't know. It's like something about his, like his recent films. Uh, it's just, maybe it's the writing, or maybe it's something else. I'm like in Chekkachevandavanam, I couldn't just get into that film at all for some reason. But then so many people did get into that film, and they enjoyed it for whatever it is. So I would say that I would say he's still relevant more than past his prime. I would say that he's the only Indian director who has had this long a career and been relevant for this long. I don't think there's been anybody else that has had this kind of longevity in terms of thing. And I think what happens is, one of the reasons for that is he doesn't repeat like the same thing. Like supposing somebody has a hit with one kind of film, the immediate tendency is to kind of do that again, right? Because people enjoyed it. Now, people often talk about Maniratnam as a romantic director, but he makes in Tamil, let's leave out Gitanjali for now. He makes Mauna Ragam. 15 years later comes his next pure romance, which is Alepaide. Then about 15 years later, you get OK Kanmani, which is another pure romance. The movies in between are not romantic films at all. They are all kinds of films. There are movies about Hindu-Muslim, unions and riots. There are movies about all kinds of things. So it's like, I think that at some level, because it's like Kamal, in a way, because you see the effort that goes into what he does, and I think that effort brings automatically a kind of respect to the person. It's like like that's, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Whereas Woody Allen, I would say, it's not that he's done consistently bad movies of late. He has done some decent films, but I think it's also because of, the scandal around him and all that kind of stuff, that many of us don't get to see, like some of the most recent ones that he's done. And also, I think when somebody uses only, see, Woody Allen's world is also very narrow, right? So when you get movies that are masterpieces, they're also in that world. And when you get movies that are failures, they are also in that world. And I would say that Mani Ratnam's world is bigger. Like, he's not afraid to try different kinds of things, and I think that's something that, you know what makes it think. Like, I would say, in a way, uh, it's like Ilaiyaraaja, right? Uh, you would have the same song, you'd have an electric guitar, and then you'd have a shehnai, and then you'd have a flute, and then you'd have all kinds of mixes that you would not even expect to kind of go together. But then they did, and something happens there, something magical. Aditya Challa says, excited for Ponniyin Selvan. Yes, I am. Mainly because the story has been like so many people have tried to make the story. The first MGR bought the rights and tried to make it. It never happened. And then Kamal, I think, toyed with making it at some point, and it never happened. And then Mani Ratnam tried at a little earlier, like about a decade ago, to try to make it happen. It didn't happen, and it's finally happening. So yes, I am excited about it, and it's like a, how do I put it? There's a certain, I would love to see how, this team again. Like, I think it's a Nayagan like team, right? It's like, again, you have Mani Ratnam, you have Tota Tarni back with him, you have Ravi Varman, who's like one of the easily one of the best cinematographers right now. And it's like, I've heard a couple of things about the shoot that I can't say, because from people that they told me, and it does seem to be shaping up to be a very interesting project. So yeah, I am excited for it. Do you feel Ravanan is underrated? uh I don't know. I think in Hindi it bombed, but in Tamil it did fairly well, and I think there are quite a few people who like it. I don't think it's kind of underrated at all. In the sense that it's not like some. I think quite a few people liked it. Like, for example, like one of the things that I really love about that movie is the reason. Somebody asked me before, I mean, why does Revati fall in love with Mohan? And I said that took a lot of time. It's a very slow process. But here, it's a very instantaneous process, because Vikram threatens to kill Aishwarya Rai, and she says, "Who the fuck are you to take my life? I will kill myself." And she jumps. And Vikram is so shocked, and so, like, he's a he admires that suddenly something happens that it's never happened to him before, and he falls for her. That act of hers, that one act of hers saying, "Who are you to take my life? I will take my own life," and then she jumps, and that becomes the point where that instant attraction happens, because till then he's like, "I don't care if you're beautiful, but this is what it is," or whatever. But now it's not so. It's not that he falls for a beauty. he falls for her character, and I think that is kind of a thing. But I think where Ravan kind of became a bit, I think people, uh, I think one of the main issues with that movie was that geography, because when you make a bilingual, you kind of, it doesn't look like a southern film, it kind of looks like it's a little all over the place. Uh, so I think that becomes a bit of a like a relatability problem. I think that's what happens. Uh, so yeah, I think that's the main thing about it. But I haven't heard too many people say uh, that Ravanan is a bad movie. Though I will tell you one really interesting anecdote about Ravanan. I was doing a radio interview, and this RJ who was interviewing me, she said, we talked about Ravanan, and then she said I couldn't watch that movie, and I said why. So I expected her to say I didn't like the screenplay, I didn't like the music, I didn't like whatever something. She says it was so wet. I said, what did you mean it was so wet? I says, no, there was just water everywhere. There was these waterfalls. There was this, even the leaves had little drops of water in them. It just, everything was so wet. And suddenly it was like this big eye-opening moment for me, because, we kind of try to generalize movies as good or bad, but there are so many individual little uh, things that can affect whether a person likes a movie or not. And and this is what bothered this person, and it was a very very major learning experience for me, that kind of that this would happen, and you know that this could be a reason for uh, kind of a thing. So I think I just wanted to say, I think Ilaiyaraaja is much more than his collaboration with Mani Ratnam. No, no, no. This is not about that at all. This is just because both of them share a birthday, and obviously, I just said that. If you listen to my answer a little earlier, it's kind of you know what I was saying, that it's for that earlier question. Uh, it's not a how do I put this? It's not a we're not comparing two people, right, to two different worlds, but we're talking about uh, when I talk about when you talk why do you talk about uh, like a Guru Dutt say, right? It's like why do we still talk about him today? Because he, unlike Satyajit Ray, let's say, he made mainstream films and infused so much of cinematic language into mainstream cinema. That's what Maniratnam did. Like he infused so much of cinematic language into mainstream cinema without going the art way. It's like that for me is a very important thing when you take a reckoner kind of thing, because there's a mainstream cinema is typically supposed to be this easily done thing that all kinds of things, but to kind of plan every shot so that in addition to what is being said, there is also something being shown that adds a subtextual layer, is something and I'll tell you why. Maniratnam is a good director, because the cinematographers who work with him always up their game. And when you see a lot of their work with other directors, they are not consistently as good. I'm not saying that they never make good films with other people, but they're not consistently as good. So he always ups the game, and that is kind of that the key to that cinematic language is that relationship between the cinematographer and the director, and that I think is something that is very important within the mainstream context, when so many of our filmmakers rely still on so much of dialogue and other kinds of things. And I think that's where I was coming from. I was not comparing Maniratnam and Ilaiyaraaja at all. This was more like they share a birthday, so just let's talk a bit about them. That's all it was. Tell us some of your favorite compositions of Ilaiyaraaja. Oh my God, this is like a nightmare because I never remember things when I'm asked instantly. Like I say, Pumale told Serava, uh, 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 Santa Kavigal Padum from Metti, Uravenum Pudhiya Vanil from Nenjathe Kelade, uh, Hey Orairam from Indum Kokila, uh, Yeriyile Yalandamaram from Karelam Shenbagapu. I mean, that's his. My God, that Raja was something else, man. He was like something else. He's just this amazing guy, and which is like. And then I said like the later ones, uh, uh, like Vegam from Anjali, like I like I love the song from this film called Pudupatti Pondutai called Uradangam Samathile. That's a beautiful song. Though don't see it, just hear it. Do not see it. Uh, then I like Garjane has this fantastic song called Varuvai Anbe. It's just so much of. I mean, it's like this kind of you know uh, it's hard to kind of uh, uh, make a complete list of all these things. But yeah, you kind of know where I'm coming from. SPB Janaki were constant presence in this combo. Any thoughts on rare combos with these singers? Yesudas, Vava, and Be, Katakuilu, Tungada, Usha, Utap, Vegam, Mitali, Amane, Achile. Yeah, it's a SPB Janaki were constantly. See, I think Ilaiyaraaja and Janaki, and see, the thing is, four major singers that Ilaiyaraaja used. This is okay. Uh, Pre Chitra, it was basically SPB Yesudas and then P. Sushila and Janaki. Those are the four major things that he used. At one point, he used a lot of Vandi Jairam, though after Kavide Kedungal in Punnagai Mannan, that combination didn't happen too well because at one point he even used her for very non-Vani Jairam songs like Hey, I Love You from Unnai Nan Sanditen, which is like you typically wouldn't expect such a song to be given to Vani Jairam, or even Or Kaidin Diary that Idu Rosa Poo. That's not really a Vani Jairam song, that the kind that you would give her. And he's given us some very interesting and offbeat songs. Uh, but yeah, it's like I think Janaki was his go-to person along with P. Sushila, and P. Sushila again with Janaki. I must say that what a they start their careers. In Sushila's case, it's late 50s. In Janaki's career case, it's early like 60s, and they went on to like till almost the 90s, like 89, 90 kind of thing. And I mean, there's a stage beyond which the voice kind of deteriorates a bit, so you know that, right? But that's, my God, what a phenomenal career. That's just so amazing. And SVB is always uh, for me the gold standard of singers because he had the rarest of things, a voice that did not change. It sounded as young and as everything as it did uh, from when he became SPB. That is, I'm not talking about the very like the boyish voice that you hear in like in early Uttaravendri Uleva songs like Madhavo Margari, that kind of song where he's sounding boyish. But no, but once SPB became SPB, his voice just never changed, and I think that's amazing. So, do you think that Raja didn't have a chance to explore more genres when you compare to current trends in cinema? Uh, you listen to the early Raja, he's done pretty much everything. I mean, you know, punk stuff, rock stuff, pop stuff, everything mixed, classical stuff mixed together. He's done pretty much everything. So there is a like kind of uh, yeah. So I don't think there is any doubt that he's explored a lot of genres. Though sometimes we feel that that he worked with certain present day directors. So I think it's a good thing that he's working with Vetrimaran in this Viduthalai film. I can't wait to see what they do together. So with that, we sign off. Thank you so much for this Ask PR session, which is a new experience for me because usually we pick the questions from Twitter or something like that, and here the questions are live. So thanks so much, and keep watching Film Companion South.